All right, the ICF checklist is used in rehabilitation in both PT and OT as a way to collect information about clients and to establish a standard language for use internationally. So the beginning part of the ICF checklist just asks you to complete some demographic information about the client and explain if you're getting your information about the client from written records, from the primary respondent, from other people like nursing staff, family members, caregivers, or from direct observation. So you fill in that information about their demographics, their current marital status, occupations, any medical diagnosis. You'll see there's also room for the ICD codes that go along. As you'll remember, the ICDs come from the same system, the International Classification System, developed by the World Health Organization. So part one of this is, let me scroll up a little bit so you can see, is for impairments of body function. And it gives you definitions as you go along, and it's very self-explanatory checklist. It gives you a qualifier number, and you're looking for the extent of impairment. So the first set of qualifiers for impairments of body function are looking at no impairment, mild impairment, moderate impairment, severe, complete, not specified, or not applicable. So you go through each of the lists of body functions, and they have subcategories, and you'll see mental functions is listed as B1. Then any category underneath of mental function starts with B1 and adds an additional 2 codes, additional 2 numbers. Consciousness is 10. Attention is 40, so the code for attention is B1, indicating it's a mental function, and attention 40. Your qualifier number goes over here. So say, for example, the client that you're working with has a moderate impairment in attention. In the qualifier section, I would put a number 3. Then anybody who is looking at these codes would know that there is the code B1403 means they have a moderate impairment in their attention, which is a mental function. So that's how it kind of reads for people to understand. It provides those number codes so that things like what means the word attention in the English language may get translated a little bit differently if we were talking about it to somebody in Tokyo who was doing research on attention, and we were also doing research on attention, and the conversation could get a little confused. The numbers help for translation across cultures and across different languages. You go through for each section and body functions. The next section you come to is impairment of body structures, and again you have a first qualifier, the extent of impairment. In this section you also have a second qualifier number, which is the nature of change. Was there no change to the structure? Is it now totally absent, partially absent? Is there an additional part added? Are the dimensions different? Is there discontinuity? Is it deviating? Are the changes because of accumulation of fluid? Is it not specified or not applicable? So you go through and say there was an impairment of their, let's go with their structure related to movement, and we were talking about their lower extremity, and they had a foot amputation, a left foot amputation. So we'd come down to structure related to movement. The number for structure related to movement is S7. Lower foot or lower extremity is 50, and then the first qualifier, we would have to say that there is complete impairment. Means that the problem is persisting more than 95% of the time in intensity and is totally disrupting the person's day in the last 30 days. So that the first qualifier would be 4, and then the second qualifier for nature of change, because the foot was amputated, we would say 1, because there's a total absence of the extremity of the body structure. Okay. For activity limitation and participation restriction, again, it gives you some definitions and it tells you that there's 2 qualifiers: a performance qualifier, which is the extent of participation restriction and actual performance of the task, and a capacity qualifier, which is the extent of the activity limitation described by their ability. So it talks about the first qualifier is talking about their performance or extent of participation restriction. So do they have no difficulty performing, mild difficulty, moderate difficulty, severe difficulty, complete difficulty, unspecified difficulty, or not applicable? And the second qualifier is their capacity to complete without assistance. So they be able to perform the task with mild difficulty, meaning they're able to perform the task more than 25%, 75% of the time. But their capacity without assistance may be severely difficult. So without the use of a walker, without the use of somebody standing next to them, cueing them, to do something particular in that task, they are severely limited in being able to do it. Okay, so you actually have to look at their actual ability to perform and then how they're performing without assistance. In the environmental factors, we also have 2 separate qualifiers, but we're only giving 1 qualifying code. We're looking at environmental structures, and you have to first determine, is it a barrier or a facilitator? So in the environment, we have both a negative and a positive, but you only give 1 qualifier. No barrier, mild barrier, moderate barrier, severe barrier, or complete barrier. Or you could be looking at it being no facilitator, mild facilitator, moderate facilitator, substantial facilitator, or complete facilitator. And the difference is the plus in front of them. No barrier, no facilitator are both 0. So that means that it doesn't have any bearing on the client. But for something like products and technology for personal use in daily living, E115, so we could talk about possibly somebody uses an augmentative device to talk, like an iPad device or something that assists them in talking. So products and technology for personal use in daily life, the augmentative communication is a substantial or complete facilitator. So it would be a +3 or a +4 because that technology used in the daily life is facilitating their participation, is facilitating their ability. It could be something having to do with, maybe we're talking about support and relationships in their immediate family. And perhaps there is some neglect going on, or there is some problems with support from the family. And maybe they are actually a barrier to them completing activities. They don't support them in their opportunities to change or get better. So in that case, we would talk about them being a barrier, and maybe they're a mild barrier. Okay, so you just pick 1 barrier facilitator. After you go through this entire page, you can see you'd have a really good picture of what this client looks like, a very clear picture of them. Additionally, you have some space to put in other contextual information, any personal factors or anything that you didn't have a chance to address above. And there's some place for some brief information, health information that you can gather from the client as well about their mental, emotional health, how they see themselves, have they been hospitalized, their medications, questions you can ask them about their lifestyle to get even more information about them. This is really a nice interview type of tool to get some background information about the client. It also gives you some options for general questions or ways to pose questions to ask about participation in activities to get a better idea about their capacity and their actual performance. So for each section, like mobility, it gives you some examples of questions that would help you determine their capacity, and then questions about performance to help you determine those. And it goes through for each of the sections in participation and activities. All right, so that is the ICF checklist in a quick little review. You will probably see this in future classes and out in the clinic, and it's a good thing to know about and a good thing to keep in your back pocket as a way to create a profile of the client that you're going to be working with, a little evaluation to give you some personal information and demographic information about their health status.